Most people believe poverty is caused by big mistakes, losing money in a bad investment, taking huge loans, starting a failed business. But in reality, the habits that quietly keep people poor are rarely dramatic. They are small, almost invisible. In fact, sometimes they're so small that people completely ignore them. And one of those habits can be described as something I call the 1% money rule. It's a pattern that seems harmless in the moment, spending just a little extra, saving just a little less, choosing convenience just 1% of the time. But over the course of years, those tiny financial decisions quietly grow into something much bigger, something powerful enough to shape a person's entire financial future. Because money doesn't just disappear in large chunks. Most of the time, it disappears slowly, one small decision at a time. Today, we're going to break down the 1% money rule that keeps people poor, why it happens psychologically, and how these tiny habits quietly control your financial life without you realizing it. Why small decisions matter more than big ones. When people imagine financial success, they often picture huge turning points, landing a high-paying job, building a successful company, making a lucky investment. And while those things can matter, they're actually not the biggest factor in long-term wealth, because most financial outcomes are shaped by repeated behavior. Think about it this way. If someone makes a huge mistake once in their life, they might lose money temporarily. But if someone makes a tiny mistake every single day, that mistake slowly compounds. And compounding doesn't only work for investing, it also works for bad habits. Every small financial decision moves your life slightly in one direction. Spend a little more, save a little less, ignore a small expense. At first it feels insignificant, but after hundreds or thousands of decisions, the effect becomes enormous. The comfort trap. The reason the 1% rule works so effectively is because humans love comfort. Our brains naturally choose the option that feels easiest in the moment. Cooking at home requires effort. Ordering food is easier. Researching prices takes time. Buying the first option is easier. Tracking expenses requires discipline. Ignoring them is easier. Each time we choose the easier option, we spend a little more money. Not a huge amount, just a little. But over years, that pattern becomes expensive. The comfort trap slowly replaces financial discipline. The subscription economy. One modern example of the 1% money rule is subscriptions. Streaming services, music platforms, premium apps, cloud storage, fitness apps, news memberships. Individually, each subscription feels affordable. Maybe $5 here, $10 there, $15 somewhere else. None of them seem like a big deal. But when you add them together, the total can become surprisingly large. And because subscriptions are automatic, people rarely notice them. Money leaves their account quietly every month. This is the perfect example of the 1% rule. Small amounts repeated endlessly. Lifestyle inflation. Another powerful version of the 1% rule is lifestyle inflation. This happens when people increase their spending every time their income increases. You get a raise, you upgrade something. Better apartment, better phone, better car, better vacations. The upgrades feel natural. After all, you're earning more money. But the problem is that spending grows at the same pace as income. So even though someone earns significantly more than they did 5 years ago, their savings barely change. This is why some high-income individuals still struggle financially. Their lifestyle expands to consume every dollar they earn. The psychological reason. The 1% rule exists because humans are naturally short-term thinkers. Our brains prioritize immediate rewards. A small purchase today feels satisfying. Saving money for decades in the future doesn't feel exciting. So people choose the reward they can feel now, even if the long-term consequence is worse. Psychologists call this present bias. It's the tendency to prioritize short-term pleasure over long-term benefit, and it's one of the most powerful forces behind financial behavior. The hidden cost of small spending. Here's something interesting about small spending. The real cost is not the money itself, it's what that money could have become. Money that gets invested grows over time, but money that gets spent disappears permanently. If someone spends $10 unnecessarily, the real cost isn't just $10, it's the future value that $10 could have produced. Over years or decades, that difference becomes significant, and when small spending happens repeatedly, the lost opportunity becomes massive. The opposite 1% mindset. Instead of thinking in terms of small comforts, they think in terms of small advantages. A small improvement in investing, a small increase in savings, a small optimization in spending. These improvements might only change their finances by 1% at a time, but those improvements compound, just like small spending compounds in the wrong direction. Over years, tiny advantages accumulate into enormous differences. The habit of awareness. One of the biggest differences between financially successful people and everyone else is awareness. They pay attention to where their money goes. They question recurring expenses. They analyze spending habits. Most people don't do this. They simply assume their finances are fine as long as they can still pay their bills. But awareness creates control, and control creates better decisions. Escaping the 1% trap. Escaping the 1% rule doesn't require extreme sacrifice. You don't need to stop enjoying life, but you do need to become more intentional. Instead of letting small financial decisions happen automatically, start questioning them. Ask yourself simple questions. Do I really need this? Will this purchase still matter a month from now? Could this money be used more effectively? These questions create a pause between impulse and action, and that pause is often enough to prevent unnecessary spending. The reverse 1% rule. Here's something powerful. The same principle that keeps people poor can also make people wealthy. If small negative decisions compound in one direction, small positive decisions can compound in the other. Saving slightly more each month, investing consistently, reducing unnecessary expenses, improving financial habits just 1% at a time. Over years, those small improvements create enormous progress. Why most people ignore the 1% rule? The reason most people ignore it is simple. The results are invisible in the short term. Spending $10 doesn't feel like a problem. Skipping one investment doesn't feel like a disaster. But financial outcomes are rarely determined in the short term. They're determined over decades. And by the time the long-term results appear, the habits that created them are deeply ingrained. Final message. Money problems are rarely caused by a single catastrophic mistake. More often, they're created by small habits repeated over long periods. The 1% money rule is powerful because it operates quietly. Small expenses, small decisions, small comforts, individually harmless but collectively expensive. The good news is that once you understand this pattern, you can reverse it. Instead of letting small decisions slowly weaken your finances, you can use them to strengthen your future. Improve your financial habits just a little at a time. Spend a little more intentionally. Save a little more consistently. Because over time, tiny changes compound, and the difference between financial struggle and financial freedom is often not dramatic. Sometimes it's just 1% decisions repeated every day. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more simple strategies about money, investing, and building wealth, make sure to subscribe to the channel. New videos are posted every week to help you understand money in the simplest way possible. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and share it with someone who wants to improve their financial future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.